Good afternoon, everybody. Thanks for coming back and checking out my origami. My name is Theresa. Going to be teaching you guys a couple things today. We're going to do the star-shaped box. So this is the first one. Double-sided paper, obviously, but if you don't have double-sided paper, you can use plain paper. And then we also have the balloon. It's a little ball here. And again, if you want to make a bigger one, you can use it and then, pass it around the house, whatever. So we're going to do those two today. And then tomorrow when I come online again, I'm going to teach you guys the whale. This one's really cool. As well as a seal. The fun thing about the seal is if you make a small balloon, little guy here, make it slightly smaller, you can actually balance it on the nose of the seal. So that one's always fun. So I'll show you how to do that tomorrow. And then on the next time I show you guys, probably Saturday or Sunday, I'll do another video. And we're going to do the little box. And if you make two of them, one slightly bigger, you can actually make it so that you can put little secret messages or put little trinkets inside. And that's your little keepsake box. And then we also have the bird here. So I'll show you how to do that one on Saturday or Sunday as well. So stay tuned for notifications as to when I'm going to be doing videos. Sorry they're not consistent time-wise, but with my work schedule at the airport, sometimes I get off earlier than other days, and sometimes I don't work at all, so I can do them a little bit earlier in the day. I do try and make sure that everybody has a chance to see when I'm going to be online, so hopefully you guys can follow along. So we're going to start with the star-shaped box. Sorry. Alright, so I'm going to use this bright colored red and green, and we're going to start color side down, so that'll end up being on the outside of the box, as always, color side down. And we're going to start with a nice easy fold. We're going to do the triangle fold, so we're going to fold it in half into a triangle, and again we're going to match up our corners, nice and easy. First step. And remember, always making sure your creases are nice and tight. So I'm going to just put that down for a second here. Just like that. And again, we've got our nice corners that all match up. We're going to fold it in half again and make it an even smaller triangle. And those of you guys that followed along with me on the first day when I showed you how to do the crane, these are the first few steps of the crane, and it's actually called the crane base. So we're going to do that. Voila, we have a nice small triangle. Now the easiest thing we're going to do to make this, we're going to put it on the flat surface, and we're going to open the mouth. Which of course now is not going to cooperate. So we have our little mouth here, make sure that it's nice and wide at the back, and we're just going to flatten it down into a square. So I'll do that on this side here. So as you can see, flatten into a square. We're going to flip it over and we're going to do the same thing. But the easiest way to make sure that this stays a square is, remember when we folded it, we have a line across here. So we're going to do the same thing. We're going to follow that crease and we're going to go opposite direction. So it actually ends up looking kind of like a sundial. The reason I do that is it makes sure that this will stay nice and tight here and it won't kind of explode. Otherwise this piece of paper might fold out like this and it'll look funny. So you do this and it makes it nice and easy, and then you put it down on your flat surface again, and we're going to open your mouth. Put your finger in if it gets stuck at the back. Sometimes the paper doesn't fold on its own, so you have to kind of do this. And we're just going to flatten it down all the way. And we're going to line up the corners because we want them nice and tight. And again, just do the nice little crease. So now you have a square and you have your open end. So that's the beginning of the crane, and it's also known as the crane base. A lot of the moves are the same, depending on what you're doing. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to turn this upside down so that I have the closed end facing towards me and the open end facing away from me. So this is the open end, as you can see. And what we're going to do is we actually want to fold one flap over so that it's the open end facing up, and we want the point to face to the closed end, but we're only going to fold it to the middle. So I'm just going to do the one, and then I'll show you. Easier said than done when you're doing it in the air. So we want to just fold. And today it's not cooperating, so let's do it that way. So as you can see, it's only folded into the middle. So our middle line this way, and we're going to do the same thing to the other side. And voila. So once we've done that side, whatever we do to one side, we do to the other side. So we're going to flip it over, and we're going to do the same thing to this side. So again, nice to the middle, all the way down to the tip, like that. So it's another triangle, and this side to make it equal, and we've got a kite shape. And again, all this is open. So once you've done that, we're going to take this piece here and this piece here, and we're going to kind of flatten them. So we're going to take this piece and we're going to open it up, and sometimes it doesn't cooperate, so you just have to kind of push this down a little bit. Oh. So this is what the problem with doing these live is. So I just did this upside down because I haven't done this crane base in a while. So what I'm going to get you to do is unfold all of these pieces right back to this square. We're going to do it the right way now. This is why you should always follow directions and read them first. So I told you to go to the closed end, but we should actually be going to the open end. And I should have known that, so I apologize. And next time I'm not going to make that same mistake. I'm going to do the first time before I show you guys how to do it. So we're going to do the triangle step again, because hey, why not? Make everything wrong in live video. To the open end. This will make it much easier to do the next step. And for those of you who know me know that I'm kind of a goofball sometimes. And I follow the directions. So we're going to do that. We're going to fold it in this direction to the open end. This is going to make it a lot more easy to do. We're going to flip it over, do the same thing to the other side. And feel free to laugh at me all you guys want. I'm laughing at myself, because if you can't laugh at yourself in isolation, what can you do? So we've got that. And the good thing about paper is it's really not that big of a deal. You can unfold it and start back to wherever you need to go. So there we go. Now we have the right direction. Alright, so we're going to do this. We're going to open this side up here, and we're going to open it up and just flatten this piece down. We're going to line up this line with this line here. Let's see if I can get you guys to see that a little bit easier. So you can see where this is already creased. And we're just going to fold that down like that. So that's just like that. And we're going to do the other side. And follow the crease again. Hey, now this is going to work out perfect. Now it's going to make sense. So we're going to do the exact same thing to the other side. Shout out to my nephew, Kaylin. He's been on here every day with me. And he sent me pictures of all the things he's done, and I'm going to post them later today. Because he's done some really fun ones, and he's challenged himself to make super small ones, the size of the quarter or smaller. So I'm going to post those online afterwards. And there you go. Alright. So now that we've got it the right direction, good laugh if nothing else. What we're going to do is we're going to fold this over on itself, and we're going to flip it over, and we're going to do the same thing. So when I do this, they actually end up with the color side on the inside like this. And the reason I do that is so that it makes it easier when I fold this. back on itself. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this flap and we're going to follow the fold to the middle and we're going to fold it in on itself. It's a nice, easy, and we're going to fold the other side, obviously, in on itself. And once you do this, it'll make sense as to why. This is actually going to give you the little handles. It's going to end up being this part right here, so you'll actually see that. And then again, we're going to do the same thing to the other side, because we always do equals. And again on this side. And we're going to do it that way there. So now we have nice pointy tips and open ends and only 2 more folds. Well, 2 more spots. We're going to do this. We're going to fold this over to line up with the corners of this part here. So as you can see, there's a little corner here and this corner here. We're going to fold it up. And the reason I do this, it's not actually a step that has to be done, but it makes it a lot easier. So we fold it this way, and we're going to unfold it and just fold it back so that it's on the other side as well. So that when you do this, I'll show you on this one here. I didn't do that step on this side, and you can see that it's kind of rounded. So if you want it more rounded and it kind of sits on its own, then you don't have to do this step, but it makes it a lot easier when you do it and you actually fold this step. That way they're nice crisp corners. So once you've done that, you can let it just loose again. That just gives it a crease. And we're going to take one of these and we're going to pull this wing down. So that gives us kind of a little petal, or in this case the star. We're going to flip it over. And we're going to do the same thing to this side. Of course, if it'll cooperate. And we're going to do that. And then we're going to open this side up. And we're going to do the same thing to that side. And then we'll flip it over. And we're going to open this one up here as well. And then fold this one over as well. And once you've got all 4 of your little flaps down, all you have to do is take 2 and gently pull them apart a little bit. Take the opposite 2 on the other side, gently pull them apart just a little bit without letting it come undone. And then tick your finger in and just follow that crease that we made earlier. So you can see it kind of popping out on itself. And I'm holding it here just so that it doesn't unfold accidentally as I untuck this. And you just kind of play with it until it all pops out. There you go. And voila. And then you kind of wiggle these down a little bit until they cooperate. Sometimes they cooperate, sometimes they don't. And there you are. Now you have a box. And that's the first one. Move that aside. Alright, so the next one is the balloon. This one's fun. Oh, sneezing. This one's fun because, like I said, you can make it bigger. You can make it super big if you want. Use a huge piece of paper, make it like a big beach ball, and you can kind of, hit it around. They're pretty resilient, so once you've done it, and if you don't want it to come undone as easily, again, glue. Just glue in the corner flaps and it'll stop it from coming undone as easily. Just a little trick. And again, always making sure your creases are really nice and tight. That always makes it so that you don't have to worry about it falling apart as easily. Alright, so now that I'm set up for the next one, we can do the balloon. So the best thing about this is you've done all these kind of steps before. Every time you've done something else till this day, all the moves you've done are leading up to make the bowl. So everything will be really easy to follow along because you've done all of the little squishy folds and the backwards folds and everything that you need to do. So, first and foremost, we're going to start in a square. Well, hot dog first, I guess. Half a square. So we're going to fold it in half. And apparently today, live is not my forte. And again, we want to make sure our nice corners line up. And then make our crease really tight. And then we're going to fold it in half to make it like a hot hamburger. Little square. And if all this talk about hungry food makes you hungry, you know, feel free to grab a snack in between. Alright, so now we've got it into a square, we're going to make this into a triangle. So what we do is lay this flat on the table. We're going to fold this out. We're going to make sure it's all nice and open. We're going to meet this one down and just push it down to this one and make sure these corners line up with the inside flap. And easiest way to do it is to press the one side and then the other side. And again, easier to work on the table because you get more pressure that way. So I'm going to do that real quick here. There we go. So now you've got your triangle, and we're going to flip it over and we're going to do the same thing to the other side. So what I'm going to do is, I've already got a line kind of here where you can sort of see it from the previous fold. And we're going to do like we did with the last design, where we're going to fold this over just to make sure that it's nice and tight. So you can see where I'm just kind of folding it back on itself. And then again, this basically should be able to stand up on its own. And the reason doing that, again, it makes it nice and easy when you fold these together. This will stay more squared off. So I'm going to hold this, do my mouth, make it nice and open. And sometimes the paper wants to spread apart here, so I just tuck my finger and hold it so it doesn't spread too far. And again, I want to meet this line in the center down into the center of my ball. And just do our little crease along here. And press nice and hard. And voila. So now we have our nice triangle here. And we're going to keep the open end facing towards me. And I promise this time, not the last time. We're going to take one side of the corner here, we're going to tuck it up and fold it in half so that it meets at the top of the peak. So you can see here it just meets on the top. And we're going to go like this, nice tight. And we're going to do the same thing to the other side. And we're going to make sure it meets up again just at the top there. And voila. So we're going to flip it over and we're going to do the same thing. So meet up to the corner. And as you can see, my paper clearly isn't square, or I missed aligning it somehow. That's not going to matter. Sometimes paper isn't squared off properly, or you just get it a little bit wonky, so you might end up with a little bit of paper on one overflow. If you really want to, you can cut that off, but it's not going to make any difference later. And then we're going to fold the other side up on here. And as I've already proven, perfection is not what happens with origami, especially when you're learning. Alright, so once you've got this nice easy part, we're going to fold these into the middle. So we're going to fold it in the middle, right down, so that it matches up with the center line. And then we're going to do the same thing to the other side. And I'm going to do it and then get my hand out of the way, because apparently my hand is in the way of the camera. I apologize for the camera setup. We actually have it taped to the table. Alright, so you can see that they're lined up. They're heading towards the center. We're going to do that, and then we're going to flip it over, do the same thing. And just like that. So there you go. Once you have that, the last step is to take your little flaps at the top here, and we're going to actually tuck them inside this little tiny fold that we made. So you can see that little fold. So the fold that we folded over here, we're going to tuck this little guy in. And you just kind of tuck it in, and you kind of have to wiggle it until it goes in all the way. So as you can see, it just kind of goes in. And you just kind of keep forcing it all the way in until that corner up at the top is matched. And it'll stop. And as soon as it stops, don't try and keep pushing it in. There will be a little bit of a flap out, and that's okay. So as you can see, there's that little bit there. So that, and I just push that down nice and tight, and it'll hold it in place. And then we're going to do the same thing on the other side. So I'm going to just do it to the camera if I can. So fold that open a little bit. Take your paper and tuck it in, nice and easy, and all the way until it stops moving. Don't force it in any farther, and then press that down again. And so you can see these two little pieces here. And then we're going to flip it over. We're going to do the same thing to the other side. All the way in, nice and tight, and voila. So as I showed you earlier, I have this little bit that's kind of hanging over, so we're going to tuck it inside and nobody's going to even know that exists. So that's the nice thing about some of these folds. It hides any kind of small mistakes or imperfections. And then we'll just do that. And voila. So that's the balloon. It's nice and easy. And as you can see when you open it, just a little bit here, I'm going to just open it a little bit. You can actually see the hole at the one end, right? So what you do is you just take this hole and ever so gently blow in it, and it'll eventually start to blow up. And voila, you now have a balloon. And if you don't want it to be blown up anymore, you can always just kind of gently push it back in on itself, and it will refold back down for easy storage. There you go. There's your balloon. So again, tomorrow we'll do the seal and we'll do the whale. And the whale is actually a really simple, nice, quick, fun one. So you can do that one really easy. And again, if you want to put all these together, you can make kind of a little marine life mobile, and you can put the goldfish and your turtle and your seal and your whale after we teach you that one, and you can make a little mobile and hang it in your room in front of a window, or hang it outside in front of your porch as a little decoration. So we'll do those tomorrow. And thank you very much for watching.